Man, what a ride the 2024 season was for the Oregon Ducks coming into the Big Ten, their very first season, winning all 9 of their regular season conference games, of course, winning their 3 non-conference game, an undefeated 12-0 season, winning the Big Ten championship. It was an amazing season, no doubt, one of the best seasons in Oregon football history, but going back-to-back undefeated regular seasons would be quite the accomplishment. I'm going to talk shortly about the keys, what Oregon needs to do to go back-to-back undefeated seasons, but going 24-0 in regular season games in your first 2 years in the Big Ten would be a crazy accomplishment and really show exactly where Oregon sits in the upper echelon of college football right now. But before we get to that, we got to break down what the Ducks need to do in 2025 to be able to get that done as well. Number 1, work out the kinks during the first 4 games pre-Penn State. Like, the schedule in 2025 is very similar than it was in 2024. Of course, 2024, you had 5 games working up to a home game against Ohio State in the middle of the season. A little bit different this year. You've got those 4 games to work up to your 5th game going on the road to Penn State. After that game, you have a fairly manageable schedule, maybe some trap games on the road. Last year it was at Wisconsin. This year maybe it could be the first week of November when Oregon goes to play the Iowa Hawkeyes at Kinnick Stadium. The great Miss Frizzle once said on the Magic School Bus, "Take chances, make mistakes, get messy." The first 4 games of the 2025 season are as follows for the Oregon Ducks: Montana State, Oklahoma State, Northwestern on the road, and the Oregon State Beavers at home. We know about the inexperience. We know about the young players on this Oregon football team right now. This is a great opportunity to figure out which combinations work. This is a great opportunity to figure out which players work. This is a great opportunity to get these guys into game situations and say, hey, we have much more talented teams than all 4 of these teams right now. If we make a mistake here, if we make a mistake there, it's fine. We are talented enough to win a game. Like, you look at last year where they were figuring out the offensive line combination. Look at those games against Idaho. Look at those games against Boise State was a playoff team, for God's sake. Do I see a playoff team in these first 4? No, I do not see a playoff team in all of those. But these first 4 games are going to be tremendously important for the young talent to be able to get that game experience and really figure out what it's like and to be able to work out some of these kinks before Game 5 when they take on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Let's talk about that game against Penn State. When you look at the Nittany Lions this year, of course, you got Aller coming back, but this is a powerful team. It's offensively, it is probably going to be a run-based team with no Tyler Warren out there, and the receiver position, I think, is a question mark out there for the Nittany Lions. But this is a physical football team. It's a defensive football team. Of course, with Knowles coming in as the coordinator, we know what this team's going to be. In game number 5, I think a key for them to going undefeated, and this, of course, being the big roadblock towards an undefeated season for Penn State, you need to show Penn State what speed is all about. Because we are more than 5 months away from this game taking place, but this is the ultimate battle of power versus speed. You need to show Penn State what Tracktown USA is all about. Because when I look at the speed on this team, when I look at DeCorian Moore, when I look at Evan Stewart, when I look at the matchup problem and the speed that is Sadiq, when I look at a guy like a Roderick Pleasant that runs track right now on the defensive side of the football, Oregon has a tremendous speed advantage, I think, in that matchup against Penn State. And they're going to need their offensive line to certainly be able to allow that speed to be on showcase as well. So I think that's a key as well, getting this offensive line to be able to gel together. But I think that goes into the first 4 games, working out the kinks and getting people to certainly get on the same page and develop that chemistry as well. But that, Oregon is going to be one of the fastest teams in college football, and that is going to be a showcase to see just how fast, just how explosive they can be against a team like Penn State. Winning another big season game, midseason game, this time on the road would give Oregon the confidence in this young team. I think they're going to build confidence throughout those first 4 games, but going on the road to Penn State and winning that football game, that confidence is going to shoot through the roof for some of these young players in the first half of this season as well. During the Dan Lanning era, this has been a team that has been ultra-focused. This has been a team when they take on squads that have less talented rosters, Dan Lanning takes care of business. This is not a team or Oregon that you really seriously put an upset alert a lot, because they are usually dialed in. They usually put their opponent in these types of situations at a disadvantage very early on, and they finish strong throughout a football game. Oregon needs to continue to dominate these lesser talented teams. Later on in the schedule, you're looking at Rutgers, you're looking at Wisconsin, you're looking at Iowa, you're looking at Minnesota. These are all teams that Oregon should be able to beat with a B performance at that point during the season. For them to go 12-0, you kind of like last year, you need to continue to build on each performance. You need to keep on raising the bar. You need to keep on raising the standard. You need to remain focused one game at a time through this entire thing. You need to win. I think you can. This is a team, I look at it, that you can win in different ways. I think this Oregon team, like last year, I think they can win in a rock fight. I think they can win in a shootout. They can beat you any way they choose to beat you. One of my favorite sayings that I developed when I was covering the 2023 Michigan team. And this Oregon team last year, this year, it's the same type of deal. And when you in the back half of the season, continuing to dominate these lesser talented rosters and these lesser talented teams, I think should equal the Ducks playing their best at the end of the season. This is an Oregon team that is absolutely built to finish strong, and there's other things that I've touched on throughout this show that I think connect and really build up to the finish of this show right now. The end of the year in 2025 for the Oregon Ducks is going to see some of this young talent. Game 9, Game 10, Game 11, Game 12. Okay? I talked about earlier in the show, those first 4 games of the season before Penn State are imperative because you got to figure out the right combinations. You got to get these guys game experience. Hey, maybe even make a couple of mistakes. So at the end of the year, that these guys are playing their ultimate best. And I think because of that, the young talent with higher ceilings than that of the transfers. Like when you take a look at some of these transfers that you've had the last couple of years with Oregon, like they provide, I think, a higher floor to start, maybe a more consistent level of play, but they don't have that elite higher ceiling, I think, that we know that Oregon has with some of these recruited players right now. Like, you can't expect these young players to come right out of the gate and just know exactly what life is going to be like playing major college football, playing Big Ten football. As the weeks continue to tick by, as time continues to progress, this team is going to keep on building. This team is going to keep on getting better. This team is going to keep on getting better and better and better. The depth is going to be a huge piece to Oregon playing well at the end of the season. Okay? Getting these young players experience in a rotation throughout the season, whether they're second-team guys, maybe even going down to something like third-team guys. We've talked about before how deep some of these position groups are. It keeps the veterans or the starters that are playing, it keeps them fresh. So they're not being pounded game after game after game, and once you get to game 11, and once you get to game 12, they're wearing down when you look at, oh crap, we still got a conference championship game to go. We still got multiple playoff games to go. Staying fresh. Like, college football has altered. Coaches have had to alter the way they really approach the season. And Oregon, I think this year in 2025 is going to approach this thing where we want these young players really starting to blossom, really starting to flourish, and we want to keep our best players fresh. We want to keep Makai Hughes fresh. We want to keep Mateo Uiagalelei fresh. We want to keep Bear Alexander fresh. We want to keep Bryce Betcher, Dylan Tiedemann. All of these guys, we want to keep them fresh so that everybody's playing at the best level at the right time of the year. And then when you get to some of these teams towards the end of the season where they're not as deep, maybe they've suffered a few injuries, that's when Oregon can really start to flex their muscle. That's when they really mash down on the gas pedal. That's when really they are playing at their very best, entering the college football playoff, and then who knows what happens from there. The depth of talent, these rotations, these young players getting experience, and everybody being fresh and playing their best at the right time, I have a lot of confidence that this Oregon team, the way that this roster is built, could be playing chef's kiss type of football towards the end of the season.